All right. I'm so excited to be here. Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's November 19th, and I'm so excited to just be saying a quick little bit here at the beginning, and then I may have some Q&A questions myself for Jess, but I'm really just here to introduce to you guys a Troutman organization leader, Jessica Huffman from Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. She is such a rock star. She's been a part of my life for a long time now. I can't quite remember how many years, but I met her at a direct sales party. She joined a company I was with years ago, and then we stayed friends. She was a part of my wedding and has been a part of my life. And I got to take little Macaulay to her and Carlton's wedding, and just lots of fun memories. And tonight she's going to share her story. And actually, I'm excited, you guys, because I did not help her prepare any of this content. So she's going to talk about how she started in direct sales. I don't want to say it as a zero, because I think that sounds maybe not fun. But Jess, I think it's okay if I say this. I don't think you'll mind this analogy at all. And she's really grown to be a hero to her team and to those of us in the org. And this morning I was asking her if she would help me with a few things for our upcoming special that we have for you guys as a part of the Troutman org starting December 1st. And she was like, absolutely, tell me what I can do. She's just such a hero to all of us. So you're going to hear her story tonight. And without further ado, I'm just going to say she's a wife, a mom, and a rock star full-time Epicure leader. And what's super cool is we don't work full-time hours, but we get compensated like we work a full-time career. And I think that's fun to note from the start. So Jess, will you take it away?
Well, hi everyone, and thank you, Kayla, so much for the introduction. I hope everyone's having a great night, and I will just let you know that I don't have anything like written down prepared. This is, it's just my life story and what I've gone through. So Kayla, if you do hear or you think I've missed something, definitely pop in because I'm really terrible with dates. In fact, I mixed up my wedding anniversary recently, so that tells you anything. But like Kayla said, we actually were in a different business together in my early 20s, and we actually had a blast, and I was pretty darn successful there. It helped me pay for part of my first wedding and honeymoon. Well, fast forward a few years, I was married, had a baby, and then I left my husband. I moved in with my parents with my 3-year-old Drake. And to say that the situation was stressful would be putting it very polite and mildly. So needless to say, we needed to get out on our own, which brings me to actually the place that we still currently live in. Drake and I had been in this apartment for just maybe a few months. And as you can imagine, your parents separating and moving from the one place you've ever known into another place was quite stressful for a small child. And I had reached out to Kayla because I was having some difficulty getting Drake to eat anything other than these ridiculous dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. And she had shared with me that she was doing this business and they were loving the food and it would fit in with my lifestyle. And she thought, after checking with a couple of families that she'd worked with, like what kind of meals were they eating and were their kids liking them? So she actually came for my 31st birthday to do a workshop for me. I had 2 people come. One made meals with me and the other just came to support me and to eat. So we made some meals, and the next day I made a meal for Drake and I, and he licked his plate clean. And I reached out to Kayla and I said, I need to know how to join you because I need the discount. Because at that point, I barely had enough money to cover rent and food expenses for Drake and myself. So I definitely could not afford, even with the discount, to actually purchase the products from that particular company. So she was like, okay, well, this is how much the kit is. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to need like a paycheck or at least one paycheck worth of grocery money to save up to buy the kit. And that is what I did. I saved up all the money I possibly could, every single penny, to pay for that kit. And I jumped right in. I followed all of the training that was available for me and was offering those freezer meals because that is what got me into the business. That was what Kayla's business was. It was full on freezer meal workshops and sharing those meals and why it worked for me and for other people that I knew. Well, like I said, I had two people come to my house the day that I did the class for my birthday. So when I separated from my ex-husband, I lost all of the people. And even prior to that, that marriage actually, 95% of the people that I was friends with actually stopped communicating with me during that marriage. So all of the people that I was friends with who helped me be successful in my previous business where I was selling baskets and home decor, they all left. Like they're like, bye girl. So I really didn't have anyone except for just a few coworkers that I was trying to share with, and just really any person who would talk to me. I created a recipe club, which I still have to this very day. And at that time, you could just add the whole wide world to your group, and they didn't really have a whole lot of options. You just put them in there, and if they were smart enough or cared enough, they'd figure out how to get out. So I added everyone in my friends list, which is like people from high school that I hadn't spoken to since we left, just like random people that I was friends with that I wasn't really sure how we were connected. But I added the whole wide world to that recipe club, and I started sharing all the food that I was cooking, and little pictures of Drake eating and enjoying it. But I really didn't have a lot of people that were having children. At least in my head, I was a little young having a child. So that group that I was a part of, or that age group, they weren't really having babies yet. So I didn't have the high school people to really be like, oh, wow, that's cool. My kids could use that too, because they were like just getting married. I got married pretty young. So I continued reaching out. We tapped into every resource, and I kept creating different events for my own home, workshops. Then we tried just getting some tastings. We did some clean eating classes that were super exciting and fun for myself and Kayla, because that was really the lifestyle that we were living, super healthy and eating clean and working out and all of those things. And I just was hitting all of the wrong bases. I wasn't connecting with anyone in my friends list. So we were really trying to think outside of the box. What else could we do? And I don't remember where the idea came from specifically, but I would say I was probably well into a year of my business, and I really didn't have anyone purchasing from me other than myself and eventually my boyfriend, who is now my husband. He would occasionally buy a few spices here and there as he lived out of state. So we decided to try this make it and take it concept. And I think after a few times, it wasn't the first time, maybe the second or third time that I offered it, I got lucky because I had joined a fitness group that actually Kayla was running, and I made friends, my own friend, like my first friend. Her name is Steph. And we found out that we actually lived in the same town, and we did not know each other prior to that, even though we eventually figured out we were part of the same running club. Steph asked if I wanted to get together for a walk one day, and we kind of been fast friends ever since. We stayed in touch, and I invited her to come to this Make It and Take It. She's like, well, I guess, I mean, you're always talking about this wild tree. I don't really know anything about it, but I guess I can come and just see what it's all about. And so she came, and I want to say she made just 2 meals. And it was, I don't even think she brought her like meats or veggies. It was just like she came and she smelt really every spice in my cabinet, which is something she still does to this day. Every time she comes by, she wants to know what's new, and she just opens up my cabinets and smells. But she just put a few spices in a couple of Ziploc bags. And a few days later, I checked back with her, and she's like, well, the one was pretty good. I don't know. I didn't really like the other one. Whatever. Thanks for inviting me. And I thought, well, crap. Now I just lost my only friend. But I tried again. And the next time she brought her mom. And I thought Steph was hard. Her mom was even worse, because it was like, well, my husband doesn't like this or this or this, or he definitely won't eat that. Eventually, we did find 2 things that mom thought dad might try, and it turned out he loved them. So Steph and Julie became 2 fabulous customers who still support me to this day. And in the meantime, I mentioned I had joined a running club, and I was wearing like logoed gear to the different running events. I tried to get to know some of the people. It was a weird dynamic. The club is very old in Wisconsin, and so there was a large portion of the group was like old enough to be my mom and grandmother, and then there were people that were like much younger than me. There wasn't a whole lot in my age group, so that was a little bit tough for me, but I did start to meet some people that I would consider a friend through that running club. And meanwhile, then, because of the running club and training for half marathons, I started my own fitness page where I was sharing my health journey. And I suddenly received a message from someone I didn't know that I knew her, but I get this message from Sandy, who I absolutely adore. But I didn't know her then. And she said, well, I see that you were sharing some meals that go along with a workout program that I'm actually looking to buy. Do you do these workshops, or are you just like a fan of the company? And I was like, oh my God, Kayla, this stranger just sent me a message and she wants me to come to her house. Like, you guys, I was freaking out. I was so excited. I had never, ever done an event of any kind for anyone. I just had strangers come to my house. So she calmed me down, and I messaged Sandy back, and I was like, oh, of course I do workshops. I do them all the time. They're so much fun. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did that. And she booked with me, and I could not believe it. I was so excited. I went and I did this workshop, and I want to say she had 6 people there. And with all the fear inside of my body, I was like, okay, so who's having the next workshop? Oh my gosh, you guys are going to want these meals. They're going to be gone before you know it. And her friend Heather, a coworker, booked off of her. And I think Heather's was like that following month. I went and did Heather's. Now, mind you, these were the only things I had going on other than just continuing to share on my personal page, in my fitness page, and in my recipe club, just sharing what I was cooking every day. And of course, my now husband, then boyfriend, was also sharing some different things that he was doing with his connections. And I went and I did Heather's, and somehow I got another booking. And this third booking was huge. I think we had 12 people making meals. Like, I was crapping my pants. I was shaking at this event because I could not believe that I had this many people, and I didn't really know what I was doing still. This was like only like the third one. So it was pretty exciting that I was 3 people in to completely brand new networks and different circles. And I want to say that is probably about 2 years into the business. And I want to say, actually, probably somewhere in between there. Um, so this is where I'm bad at dates, and I should probably figure this out for the future for these stories. But somewhere in that time frame, I got very discouraged because just nothing was working. I couldn't get anyone that I knew to buy. Like my family, I think my mom bought one thing from me in the 5.5 years that I was with that company, and it's still sitting in her cupboard unopened. Yeah, so if that tells you anything. But what happened during this small amount of time is I kind of gave up. I just stopped sharing. I was like, what's the point? Like, I hardly have anyone participating in my recipe club. Like, most of the posts I do on my wall don't really get any attention. People from my like fitness page, like they love the food because it's healthy, but nobody wants to buy any of it from me. And I stopped sharing. And I want to say it was in between the seasons, because what had happened then was it was time for like some new products to come out, and I was like, well, I have this shelf full of stuff that I haven't opened, and it's not really working. Like, it won't work for my family. I don't think Drake will like it, so I'm gonna just throw it up on Facebook and see if anyone wants to buy any of it. And all of a sudden I had tons of people messaging me, oh, I'll buy that, and I'll buy that, and I'll buy that. And I was just like, where the heck have you been all of these months? All of a sudden, everyone's interested. And that excitement then flipped the switch where I started sharing again. And into that new sharing is when I want to say the Sandy and the Heather, and I don't remember the third gal, but in between there, that's kind of happened. So sorry for the backtrack. But all of that was going great. And because I was back to sharing and I had that boost of confidence because I suddenly had 3 events that went fabulous. I had made some new friends with my running club, and they were showing interest finally in the products. And I was getting people to come to my house to make meals. I actually had, and my place is small. It's a 2-bedroom place, but it's very small. To have people workshop, I actually moved my coffee table into Drake's bedroom, and I put a folding like banquet table in my living room so that people could make meals at my apartment, because there's no room in the kitchen, like no room at all in the kitchen. And so things were going great. I was just in such a high from all of the positive things that were going. My attitude changed, which is a huge, huge thing. Like, looking back at it now, because of all the crap I was going through during that period of time, I was in such a negative mindset. I had a job change at my regular job in between there. I was finishing a divorce. I was dealing with a small child that was primarily all just me doing all of the parenting. And I look back, and even now, like, sometimes I'm grateful for Facebook memories, and other times I'm just like the Facebook gods should have just deleted that garbage. Like, who was that girl who posted that crap? Like, what was I thinking? So, you look back and you're like, wow, I think all of those things really were reasons why nobody wanted to work with me, because nobody wanted to be with a negative Nelly who was complaining about her crappy job and her crummy coworkers. And I mean, think about it. You all probably have that friend that you know on Facebook who you've probably either unfollowed, unfriended, or you just scroll past every post. I think we've all been there ourselves, or we know someone who is there right now. So the fun thing was then, with all of my excitement and my sharing, and then being able to show that I was out doing these events that I was telling people I could come and do, they were actually seeing it in action, and I was being consistent with my sharing. I was sharing the meals. I was sharing what the business was doing for my family, that I could actually afford groceries and afford to do little things like take Drake to the movies because of the income that I was finally making. I started building a team, and that was really exciting. And I, somewhere in that excitement, I jumped into the world of Facebook parties. So if you were part of the last opportunity that the majority of the story takes place in, you may or may not know that I was actually selected to be a part of the team that built the Facebook party script for the entire company. A lot of that was because I was really one of the first people who actually attempted to do Facebook parties for that company. And being that my husband was from another state and he really wanted to help me get my name out there and get the company out there and help my business grow, he actually hosted a Facebook party for me, which I was really unsure how it was going to go. And I know it was definitely $500 to $700. It was definitely over 500. Like, it was insane. I could not believe the amount of sales that that party got. It was just phenomenal. And from that, I had someone from North Carolina join my team. She was more of like a lifestyle representative and was just there really for the discount for her family and some close friends. But she was always putting in sales. She loved the product and she was helping my team grow. So things just were kind of going great. I was continuing to use all the tools. I was continuing to train so that I always knew all of the things that were helping others, being open to coaching and learning different things and just sharing and help coach my team. Well, you're thinking, oh, wow, well, that's great. Well, it is all great until life kicks you again. My team was really just cranking it and we were doing fabulous. Just, I was consistently still booking and still filling in my calendar with other types of events. I realized that I still didn't know enough people, so I was filling in with like corporate events, like health fairs, and I was doing different like types of like boutique events where I could set up in a shop and just like your everyday vendor of it. Excuse me. And was still trying to continue to meet new people because I had gotten stuck in a little bit of a rut. So I was diversifying what I was doing and it started to work. It was going great. And then my health hit me. It was, I think, 3.5 or 4 years ago. It really suddenly, pretty much out of nowhere, I was struck with a neurological disorder where, and if you want to look it up, it is called occipital neuralgia. It is incredibly rare and often happens to people due to an accident. However, that was not the case, which makes it even more crazy that it happened. But I was sitting at my desk. I was running an office. I was an office manager full-time outside of the home on top of my side gig. And just excruciating pain started happening. And I thought, well, whew, this is one hell of a migraine. And I pushed through and I kept pushing through. And my team was getting closer and closer to actually hitting leader numbers. And, Kayla's like, Jess, do you realize like how close you are? And I had never thought really about being a leader, or what would it take, or how could I get there. I was just always just focusing on just like hitting the numbers to get the paycheck because I needed the extra income. And then I'm sitting here with this illness and I'm thinking, really? I have worked so hard to get to this place where I feel like my business is running good. I have an awesome team who I love, and now I'm sick. Um, and that month, it was August, I did manage to hit my first month of leader numbers, all the while still struggling with constant pain. And I don't know really a great way to describe the pain, except for if you've ever had a migraine, it is that times like infinity. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. It started to affect my vision and so many other things. I ended up having to take medical leave from my job. And here I am thinking, what am I going to do? I can't drive myself to work, let alone drive myself to an event. And for once, I had like a full calendar of actual like tastings and workshops. I don't think I had a single vendor event or corporate event or anything that September. And I was already booking into October and November. And I'm sitting here facing this just awful feeling that I am letting all these people down, because there's no way that I could, even if someone drove me, there was no way I was going to lead a workshop or a tasting. There was just no way it was going to happen. So I had to cancel and try to reschedule every event that I had on my calendar. And I personally prefer to have about 8 events on my calendar. And I know that's not what everyone wants to do when they come into this industry, but that is how I was running my business. And so that was pretty difficult to contact people who had become really great customers and just explain to them what was happening. I was real honest with people. At that point, I had been sharing on social media and telling people about the struggles I was having with my health. And some people were just like, you know what, once you're better, like we'll reschedule then. And that is a tough like blow to take. Like when you have something going on with you that you, at that point, I didn't know even what it was. I had not been diagnosed. So it was really tough to say like, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be sick. But I, made my notes, and my husband was helping, make sure that I didn't miss anyone. So somehow a miracle with the customer base that I had built, we did manage to make leader numbers for that second month, which was such a blessing, because as you can imagine, if you've ever had any type of illness, especially something that needs to be diagnosed, it can be very, very expensive. And that check only put a tiny little dent in all of the medical debt that I was building. But unfortunately, I had to then start taking time away from my business. I really like light sounds. I ended up being bedridden for 6 to 7 months, and it took 3 neurologists to finally diagnose and start a treatment plan. And then even the treatments, they're not a cure. There is no cure. There are things that can help lessen, but um, not cure you. So unfortunately, I think Kayla, am I right that it was only those 2 months that I qualified, or did I make it 3 and then it was the 4th?
I I thought it was actually you made it 2, you missed 1, you made it another, and then it was kind of downward from there.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I knew it wasn't like, I didn't think it was like boom, boom, done. Okay, thank you. So, like I said, I had been sharing what was going on. So I was very lucky to have the type of customers that I had who were just so thoughtful and caring, and they were continuing to purchase without me really being able to run my business. Because I'll be honest, I couldn't get up to cook. I had, I couldn't really do anything. I needed help to get to the restroom, or I'd crawl there. Eating was kind of a joke. So life got ugly again. And again, those Facebook memories remind you how ugly and negative and how dark things were. And I only have recently even ever shared, but during that time, it got so dark and scary that I was praying to God to take me. So if you can imagine the mindset of that person, it was not good. Darn it, I put makeup on so I wouldn't cry. And I still to this day do not know exactly what it was, but something happened, and I realized that the negative mindset that I had and the hatefulness and the anger that I was feeling for what was happening to me was not going to get better if I continued to have such a horrible attitude. And I had to stop hating God and hating my life and hating the happy people. And if I really wanted things to get better, I needed to change my attitude. So I don't know if you guys currently follow me on any of my social media, but if you notice, every single day I post a positive post. And some days it's just a picture of my family and something positive that happened. Some days it's like a uplifting spiritual quote. I mean, it's really anything that is speaking to me that day that makes me feel good. I started waking up, and some days I couldn't physically actually look at the phone because the light hurt so bad. So I would actually have my husband just search positivity or positive quotes, or if he saw something that he thought I would like, he would save it for me, and then he would help me post it until I had a treatment that actually it has obviously helped me. I'm doing much better today. I am an extremely rare case. Most people, the treatment only lasts for about 6 months. I'm on 2 years. So I'm incredibly blessed. But I do think that starting my day, every single day, whether I'm sick or I'm angry or I'm any feeling, it doesn't matter what I wake up feeling or what I go to bed feeling. I wake up every single day and I look for something positive. And at first it was just for me. And then I started getting messages from people that I knew or that I didn't know. And they would say, like, thank you so much for sharing that post. I absolutely needed to hear that today. Or, gosh, it felt like you knew exactly what I was going through. Thank you for sharing. And when I realized that I was helping other people without even knowing it, and I was helping myself as well, I knew I couldn't stop. I needed to keep sharing, because I think starting your day in positivity or gratitude or being thankful for something every morning when you wake up, it can set the tone for your whole day. And that is what started to bring me out of the darkness. And so as soon as I started feeling better, which it took a while. So I actually was set to get married that November. So like July, August is when the pain started. It got really bad August. September is when completely down, was no longer working. And that November I was set to be married, which almost didn't happen, but we waited long enough. I wasn't rescheduling that date. We got married, and in January, or the end of December, I got a letter from my full-time job telling me that they were letting me go. And somewhere in there, I had the treatments, which took, I think the treatments started in September. So you have to do 2 tests and then like an actual treatment. So I want to say it started end of August or beginning of September. And I think the beginning of November, I think I had like the actual treatment, and it takes up to 2 months before you actually feel relief from any of that. But it wasn't until 6 months after the treatment that I finally woke up one day and I was like, wow, I feel like me. I felt like myself again. And the positivity was helping, and just the good people I had around me, just people who were customers who became friends were there. And I was starting to rebuild my business slowly but surely, trying to start cooking again and sharing again. Unfortunately, a lot of people were afraid to schedule with me. No, I not really that they said this, not many people specifically said this, but I know because of my health issues, it was preventing people from booking with me. I had done a lot of damage with the negativity that I was in for that chunk of time, and people just, they're afraid, especially when it's an illness that nobody, I'm sure probably none of you on here have ever even heard of it before. So people are afraid of something like that. Not that they thought it was contagious or anything, but what if it came back and she cancels on me again? That kind of a thing. So I was determined to do whatever it took to rebuild my business, to get back to where I was, and to become a leader again. And that is exactly what I did. I went back to the basics. I was contacting every person who had been ordering with me. If they had stopped ordering from me, I was reaching out to them. If they had hosted with me in the past, I was reaching out with them. I was sharing everything I was cooking in my home as often as I could. And thankfully, as I got back to normal, I was using the products for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I was sharing at least 3 times a day, sometimes 4 if I decided to make dessert. And I just really got back into that consistency, sharing and sharing and sharing, and talking to everyone that I possibly could. And I stepped out of my comfort zone since, hey, I lost my job. I could finally go to that mom's group at my church, and I could finally go back to church, which was really exciting. Um, so I braved it and I went to the mom's group, and I didn't know a single person there. Not one. But I showed up wearing my logo gear, and somebody was like, "Oh, I love their stuff." I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks. That's awesome. Me too." And the next time, "Oh yeah, great products." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Aren't they awesome?" And finally got to actually have a real conversation with one of these ladies who thought that what I was wearing was a great product, and found out that she previously was a representative for that company, and found out that they didn't know anybody to buy from. And she said, "Well, if you're going to order anytime soon, um, we'd love to place an order." And I was like, "Actually, I'm placing an order on Friday. I could help you out." And we exchanged numbers. And next thing I know, she's calling me with a $200 order. And I was like, "Hey, you could get hostess credits for that." "Oh, no, that's fine. You take them, just place the orders. Can you bring them to church?" And I'm like, "Sure can." And she became a really great friend. We're actually still friends today. But the cool thing is I started meeting new people. I was getting back in touch with the spiritual side, which I was definitely missing while dealing with all of those things. And I was sharing again. I was being open and willing to meet new people, which I know can be super scary. Um, and this story has me in like two different places where I'm starting fresh, meeting new people. And it wasn't easy either time. Showing up to a running club when you've always been the fat girl and you're trying to run a half marathon is scary. Showing up to a church that you've only been going to for a short time and not knowing a single woman in the room, and there's like 50 of them, and you showed up in like sweatpants and a t-shirt and they are dressed to the nines. I thought I was in like a crazy episode of some show. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, please tell me this is a dream." But I kept going back because, for one, I needed that for myself. And because I did that for myself, it became a bonus for my business, that I was able to still do something for myself, but meet new people who were interested in my business. And with a lot of hard work, and a lot of times doing 10 plus events a month, I did make it back to leader. And the cool thing is I requalified the same 2 months that next year. And it's still something that I'm very proud of, to have gone through all of that and to have fought so hard the first time to get there, to lose it to something that I had no control over, to fighting really freaking hard. And I have to give a shout out to my husband, because without him, I don't think that I would have been able to do that on my own, especially like from the health standpoint. If you ever done vendor events, you know that they can be super long days. And it was great to be able to have him with on a handful of those so that he could give me some breaks from the noise or from standing, or, just to step away for a little while. And then just having an awesome team. My team really stood by me, although if you're not there to coach them, they don't have footsteps to follow. And so, it did take some time to rebuild the coaching part of that aspect as well. But we did it. And we succeeded. And with all of that, um, that's the story, folks. And I tried really hard not to cry. I'm sorry. But I think really like the biggest thing, if you take anything away, is that consistency and the determination to go after what you want are the most important parts of that story. That when I stopped sharing, I destroyed all the progress that I was making in those early days. And I had to start all over again and show that I was the product of the product. Because if they don't see you using the product, then why would they want to buy it from you if you're not sharing and showing that you're using it or what it's doing for you and your family? And I think those are just huge, huge parts that without those, the rest, it's not gonna get you there without those pieces.
I love it, Jess. So I took 3 notes away that I kind of want to just hit on bullet points because I was obviously a part of a lot of the story. And then I want to let you guys ask her any questions. And we'll end it right on time with 1 hour. So I'll go fast. But in the beginning, she shared, if you missed the early parts and you were jumping on, that she tried new things until she found her groove here. So many of you have seen the ideas in our team page, like a turkey trot, or maybe you've seen a sip and dip, where instead of doing a cooking class, you do wines and dips. Some of you have probably seen the concept of an open house or a sip and shop where you partner with another direct seller and you do like a modified cooking class and she's got her products and you do it at your house still. Anything to draw in different people, one person at a time, and get in front of new people. Jess was not afraid to do what we called in the last opportunity, make it and take it, or open houses until it clicked. And so I just really want, if you're taking notes, I really want you to write this down. Try new things. We're not saying like invest millions of dollars. Jess didn't have millions of dollars to invest. I know, I was her coach, but she just kept trying things, taking what I would say and modifying it to fit her. Because, my business doesn't look like Becky's or Jennifer's or Mary's or anybody else's. Like, you have to realize one thing about coming into this industry is that you're an entrepreneur. And the faster that you can realize that, the faster that you can make this business whatever you want it to be. And you can be alongside a full-time job. Jess is proof of that. She did it for a long time with health issues. I'm proof of that. Many of you are proof of that. So number 1, try new things. Number 2, 100%. I will never forget the day. This is in the middle of her story that I had to send Jess 2 full out. It kicks you off of Voxer. If you know what Voxer is, it's a walkie-talkie app. I've never talked to where it actually stops your message and cuts you off. I felt like it was unlimited. And then I got to 15 minutes and it cuts you off. And I sent her 2 back to back, really just saying, in order to preserve our friendship, I felt like she needed to leave the old opportunity because her attitude was so bad. I didn't want to be around her anymore. Nobody wanted to be around her anymore. But I mean, you guys can all, as she was talking, relate, and you could see the tears. She wasn't trying to be negative, and I knew that. That's why there was 15 minutes of me trying to be like, I love you, and I hate saying this, and I hate being tough, but like, you kind of suck. And like, you being around us is sucky, right? I mean, Jess probably remembers that day very well. I was driving home from a party, and I'm like, you're sucking the life out of me. And if we want to stay friends, I think you should just quit because this is not working. And so what I want you to hear is attitude is everything. And I'm sure it wasn't that conversation that changed her. It wasn't one Facebook post she saw. It wasn't one friend that called her on the phone. Like, sometimes you just have to have a come to Jesus moment with yourself. Something clicked. And if you follow her now, you see her quotes and her energy and her attitude and the way that she does the best she can to be a good Christian that's important to her, and a good wife and a good mom and a good leader and good boss babe, and show up for her customers and her clients and her team. So I just really want you to know my point number 2 that I took away from her story was attitude. Honestly, if you took nothing else away from this, it's your mindset and your attitude that's holding you back. If you told yourself tonight before the call, I'm going to try to get on, but I'm so busy. Like, that's a problem right there. We're all busy. Nate was like, you have a call tonight? Crap, I wanted to talk to you about something important financially. We're refinancing our house. And I was like, no, this is important to me. And so just note, like, your attitude and your energy are everything. And then the third thing is, as she came back out of health you know, I don't want to say issues because it's not quite the right way. Jamie's going to share a quote below, so I'll read it out loud after she shares it. But as she came back out of that second, like, kind of letting her business go and having to restart. One of the things that she said in her story tonight, and this is why I took this note down, is she was determined, kind of that come hell or high water, I'm going to make this happen. I know some of you have that goal here. Like, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And just nailed it. Right after that, she said, I had to basically start over. I had dropped the ball. I had let things go. I'm going to tell you the biggest secret in direct sales. Every time you do that, you just make it 50 times harder than my business. And I know Jess is shaking her head. Yes, so I'm sitting here with my backpack thinking, how hard is a cooking class? But for somebody who keeps doing a couple classes, you build up some momentum, and then life happens and you do nothing. Your Facebook post is ghostly for 10 days in a row. You barely talk to your leader or your team. And then you pop in with a question and we're all kind of giggling because the question was answered today in the team page. And we're not making fun of you. Like, please note, that's never what I mean by that. But you know what I mean. It's like you've been MIA and then you're jumping in. That is hard. Those that want to be an entrepreneur, even if you're going on a 20-day vacation, which PS, if you are, can I go with you? Because I would love that. So take me with you. But if you're going on a 20-day vacation, an entrepreneur says, I'm going on a 20-day vacation. I'm going to set up Facebook posts and recipes. I'm going to make sure my hostesses are coached ahead of time. I'm going to get up 2 days on my 20-day vacation and work for an hour before my family gets up. Guys, the sacrifice here is so minimal if you just stay with it. So those are my 3 bullet points. Try new things until you figure out what works for you. Your attitude and your mindset is everything. And determination is probably the most important skill set. And again, just don't drop the ball on yourself. I want to read Jamie's quote if I can. Hold on. She said, a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it. Dang, that's like your theme. That's got to be your Instagram post tomorrow. That's so good. That's so good. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And I see a lot of comments coming in saying, thank you for sharing. Shelly says, I can relate to your story so much, except for the illness, staying consistent and not being negative. Thanks for sharing your story. I agree. Now I want to stop talking again. I just wanted to share those points because that was a part of Jess's story in those years. Does anybody have questions or want to just ask her something? You can type it in the chat and I can narrate that out to her, or you can ask her. Anyone? Anyone? Did anyone find it helpful? And is anyone brave wanting to take themselves off a mic, off of mute for a second and share? Turn your mic on.
I'll share real quick. Like somebody mentioned earlier, not being able to relate to the illness portion, but definitely being able to relate to having a bad attitude for a long time and just really getting down on myself. I guess I could turn my video on, huh? And so it was just really inspiring, Jessica, to hear you talk about the support and the different things that you did to come out of that and how you need to maintain all of the support and just the positivity to keep going. So I appreciate that. And I joined a mom's group this year too, and it's just absolutely amazing. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, if anyone needs some daily positivity, feel free to follow me on my social media.
Anyone else? That was awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, I'm Carol, and I want to thank her because I've been having health issues also, and memory's a little bit of it, and I'm determined to keep going. Facebook's giving me a problem right now, but I'm going to work through it. Mary's been helping me. Retention's the problem I have right now, along with some other issues. But if she can do it, I know I can do it. And only with God's help can I get it done. Thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate you being on tonight, sharing everything, and I'll be praying for you.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Thank you for sharing, and I'll be praying for you as well. I hope that you are able to get well as soon as possible.
Thank you, dear. God bless you, all of you.
I love that, Carol. Anybody else? Still have a couple minutes under our time goal, so. Anyone else want to be brave and share a takeaway? Okay, Jess, any final words for them on the recording before I end it?
Oh boy. Well, I don't know. One thing that I remember from when I was younger, something that someone always said is like always wear a smile on your face because you never know who's watching. And I don't know if you guys have ever like noticed, like when you walk down the street with a smile on your face, the people that come past you, they end up most of the time smiling if you have a smile on your face. And just think of that for yourself every day when you wake up and you look in the mirror, just to put a smile on your face, and it just helps start that day in a positive way.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess. I think everybody agrees that this was super beneficial. We're so grateful that you shared. And to everybody that got on tonight, thanks so much for jumping on. I know that in some ways, again, not every story is going to relate to you, but I think, again, there were some really good nuggets that even I can remind myself as a coach and a mentor. And if you're listening to this as somebody who wants to get to leadership at some point, it's really great to remember too, not everybody is a cookie cutter mold. We have these awesome trainings and we have these tools, and Jess did share that she has used the tools and really works hard to use them. But then there's also been times when she had to go totally, I don't want to say AWOL, but she just had to be like, no, Kayla, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to do something else. And I want you to know that that is what's cool about this industry. You get to do that here. Nobody's your boss. You're the boss. Nobody sets the hours. You have to show up though. Nobody tells you how to do it. You learn from your leader some things. You learn from Dana, who's phenomenal, right? Can we give her a silent round of applause here? But then at the end of the day, you get to make it your business. And I just hope that you leave this call feeling really inspired. So I will get this uploaded and share the recording in our team page. And Jess, I'll get it off to you. Thank you again so much to everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. But I know Jess does not mind at all. If you think of a question that we didn't answer, you can streamline it through Jess. And if she feels like it's worth sharing in the team page, she'll go ahead and add it. She's fantastic. And again, just a very good, trusted friend and leader. And I'm just so grateful. And Jess, from me and Nate, thank you so much for your hard work that you do for our team. We're grateful for you. So bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your night.